There's, you know, there's not an introduction to opera for the most part. There's no introduction to opera in the regular school system. Kids, they don't know what opera is and never heard of it.
No, that's true.
And the joke about the fat lady singing or the horns, you can't even do that anymore because no one knows what opera is.
That's true.
At least before, people knew what opera kind of was, but now I don't think they do. They know rap and they know Hollywood. They don't know anything else. So it's a sad situation.
Yeah. Let's think of some other...
Well, we didn't. You talked about cello, but you didn't even talk about any violists.
Well, there aren't...
Or
oh, well.
Joshua Bell. What about, like,
okay,
Heifetz?
Oh, yes. I mean, but that's like...
Well, that's not like how I asked you. Can you tell the difference between...
You can if you listen
violinists
to them.
You sit there and study them, their sound.
It's like, yeah, they all have their styles. I mean, you talk about old, like Michel Elmer or something, he slid all over and had this sound, you know, you kind of knew that.
What sound is that, a technique?
Right. I guess so. Yeah, but then the Russians, they're a little cleaner, but they're a little bit like that.
Okay,
too.
but here, let's go a little contemporary. So you didn't necessarily like Midori. What about anyone else?
Violin-wise?
Uh-huh. Okay, then fine.
I'd rather
Let's
talk
move over
about,
to
okay, here's a
violist,
viola.
though.
I just heard William Primrose playing Harold in Italy last night.
All right.
He was really good. I never heard him in person, but I mean, I remember hearing records, but it's been a while. It's been a while. So he was really good, so musical, and you know, he was really, really good.
But you also like Pinker's.
Yeah, but it's
and
like
you like
he's
how
not
he
quite.
plays. Okay, but you also like how he plays violin because he has more of a viola sound.
He does, yes, and that's probably why he plays viola too.
Yeah, and I agree. I like
a darker sound.
I like his violin playing because it is darker.
Okay,
But I would agree that he's not necessarily at the Primrose. Especially because I saw him do those two Brahms songs with
viola on viola.
I mean, viola on viola and from live from Lincoln Center with Jessie Norman, and I didn't especially like her, and I didn't especially like him.
All right.
It was like
maybe they didn't practice enough. Like I told you, I heard him and some of the people from the orchestra in Minneapolis. They did the Schubert, one of the Schubert quintets, and they just didn't rehearse it enough. I mean, I was so sad because there were these good people, and it's one of my favorite pieces.
Was it the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra or the
No, it was the Minneapolis Orchestra. I mean, like the first chairs with him, and it had to have been the cello one because that's my favorite, but it wasn't rehearsed enough. And it didn't matter if they were really good players.
Unless you rehearse
work together,
and really work on your music, it doesn't matter if you are the greatest violinist in the history of the world.
I'm trying to think of the violist.
Isn't there a woman that you like?
Yes, in Germany, and she's part of it.
Misha Maysky plays with her.
Yeah, well, she's also got brothers and sisters that they have a quartet.
Isn't she
What's her name?
Israeli or something?
No, she's German. She is fantastic.
Oh yeah, you heard her recently.
I heard her.
You were talking about. I don't remember her name.
Because you don't hear of her over here. I've never even heard a record of her or anything over here. She's fantastic. She played at that little Heidelberg Alta Aula, and she's small, and she started.
She's got dark hair.
Yes, long dark hair. And she started playing, and wow, it was fantastic. It was so electrifying to hear her. It was just marvelous. She did a.
She was doing solo stuff?
Yeah, she did. I guess it must have been. It must have been.
Hi, Ma.
It must have been some sonatas. I think violin sonatas, and there's also
violin sonatas.
I mean. Drums like viola things, and unaccompanied like Hinnemith and that type of thing. But she just had so much fire in her playing and this huge sound and this electrifying sound. I don't understand why you don't hear her here.
Starts with an H. Maybe?
I'll think of it. Maybe I didn't. I should have thought about this before. but I didn't. Anyway, those are...
Okay, what about conductors? I know we won't talk about Maida, who Daddy hates.
Oh, conductors?
I don't like him anyways.
It's hard to know. I mean, they all have such different styles.
Okay, did you like Leonard Bernstein?
Well,
Or
yeah,
is he too much?
but he almost was. I was thinking about him at Tanglewood. We did Petrushka, and of course this is the student orchestra, so he's... Maybe I should sit sideways. So he lived or acted the parts as we were doing them. It was an unbelievable way to learn something, because as the lady puppeteer comes in, whatever she is there, the ballerina, he's doing all this stuff, and the bear and all these things, and it was just marvelous, because I've never seen a conductor do that, but it works with students. If he did that in the New York Philharmonic, I can see where they wouldn't like it, but certainly when you're learning something, you know.
And puppet masters.
But I mean, that was marvelous. His older records of Mahler, I like them
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, he rehearsed
So.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm saying no one had really done Mahler before
A lot.
Bernstein came along. And pretty much...
Well, Bruno Walter did.
Okay, fine.
That's another era, though.
Okay, and
Very
Daddy,
different.
he
He likes
talked...
Bruno Walter.
He loves Bruno Walter. He
Uh-huh.
thinks that he was pretty much one of the best conductors.
Yeah, probably was.
That he played under, he played under Toscanini and, I mean, Bernstein, and, I mean, he played under everyone under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Look at his guy in Cleveland.
Yeah, Zell.
Well, I mean, I'm saying he played
Yeah,
under
yeah, I
everyone
know,
big.
I know.
Everyone under the sun, but he liked Bruno Walter the best because he was nice. He was good with the orchestra. He explained what he wanted, and the orchestra understood. And he was very passionate. And I don't know what it was. I mean, was he around when you were around? So that's before your time. I mean, I know he's older, obviously. I mean,
Yeah, I can't think of any favorite conductors.
Well, that's all right. You don't need to.
Oh, they all have their good points and their bad points, and
I don't think that there are any phenomenal conductors. I mean, okay, here we go see Maren Alsop. I mean, I like her, but she has some weaknesses.
it's not an easy thing.
No, it's not an easy thing, but it's being able to communicate to your orchestra what you want. And if you got to use hand puppets to do it, well,
You know a funny thing?
maybe that works.
We played with Pierre Montour in Quebec, and he has the smallest beat you can imagine. He never changes. He stands there, and I swear it's like that. It is real, and he doesn't. I don't think he used it.
That's like the
He must
guy
have
in
used a baton.
Chicago,
It's too small.
Reiner.
Fritz Reiner, did he have a small beat too?
Well, wasn't he the one where one of the bass players got out?
Oh
binoculars?
yeah, that's right.
And the guy got fired because in those days conductors ruled.
Oh yes, they did. But we played something intricate with Pierre Montour, and I don't remember what it was, but I mean, you still,
How could you see
watched
that?
him. You just watched. You were just glued to him. You watched him more than you watched the music, probably, but you know when to
Did
look
he
at it.
change anything? Did he do any facial expressions?
No, he just. Well, he probably went like this now and then or something like that, or like that a little bit. But he literally kept his hands right here all the time. And
Did
it was,
he use both hands?
well, if he wanted something, they do. No, he didn't. You don't do that. You're never supposed to use both hands when you conduct.
I know, but I'm just asking what he was doing.
He just was very small. And,
He
when
was this
you're...
small, because you can't see it unless you're up here. Look, do it. He was like
It
that.
was very small. It was really small, and you had to really look. And listen all the time. So I don't know where he got that. I mean, he had the Swiss Zimmerman Orchestra, and I mean that was a good orchestra. Probably still is. You never hear about that anymore either. It's pretty strange.
Well, you never
When
hear
you're in
about
this
the
country, you
European
don't.
ones.
No, you certainly don't hear about it.